Okay, I'm really, really excited to bring you something special because something special has just occurred. And huge congratulations are in order. The Steamboat Springs Winter Sports Club U16 group just came back from U16 Nationals where they dominated. And not only did they dominate at the Nationals this year, they dominated internationally. So shout out to Ben Brown, the U16 head coach, to the coaching staff, to all of the parents, to everybody involved with that group. On a personal level, I'm really, really excited. And here's why. I had that group for 3 years as their U10 head coach. Pretty extraordinary. And also, that's when my YouTube channel began with 3 of those kids. The Beauregard boys and Kat Cosby, they're in a lot of my skill development videos. We made videos for the parents, for the coaches, for the athletes. All of those videos that we made back then, and I've got to say, with the encouragement of Cedar Beauregard, he was the one that encouraged me to get going on this thing. But we made about 45 videos or so. They're all right here. So what I want to do for this video is show you what we did with that U10 group. Because you don't make champions at any one age group, but things build upon themselves, momentum, ignition, skill development, all of these things, they begin in a window. And it was our goal and intention as a program back then for me to develop the best U10 programming anywhere, the best U10 athletes anywhere. It was like being a mad scientist going to work every day, and it was so much fun. And to have the opportunity now to have watched these athletes progress and now see that they're some of the best U10 skiers in the world, you can imagine it's pretty cool. Every country in the world is always thinking about how to create future champions. That's what this video is, specifically looking at the 7, 8, and 9-year-old athlete. I'm really, really proud of what we did back then. I'm so proud of these athletes, and I hope you enjoy this content. Okay, guys, finally we have a powder day. One thing that is for sure about you two is you guys love this. It is awesome, and it shows in your skiing, guys. Well, this is a video I did about 7 years ago with Cayman and Adrian Beauregard, and with the help of their dad, Cedar, who was also one of the U10 coaches at the time. So everybody asks, where are they now? Well, Cayman and Adrian were 2 of the 5 Steamboat Springs Winter Sports Club U16 athletes who went to Europe for international competition representing the United States. And Adrian came home with 2 gold medals, a gold in the GS and a gold in the Super G, against arguably the best U16 athletes on the planet. And then Adrian came back to the States, won the U16 Nationals Super G title, and got 4th in the slalom U16 Nationals. When I was running the U10 program in Steamboat, there were 6 factors that I think were very important to the success of the program. The vision, talking about facility, the culture of the U10 program, the training and approach, the parents, and the heart, will, and accountability of the professional. When I took over the U10 program after being Alpine director, Blair Seymour, who was the development director, and Jet Seymour's mom, we worked very closely together. And the vision was to have a U10 program that did not pigeonhole or direct any child in any particular discipline, that we wanted to cultivate a broad set of skills for these athletes to go in any direction they wanted to go. The U.S. ski team said, good skiers make good ski racers, mogul skiers, competitors, and that's what we were after. Go for it, next! One right after the next, you guys. So yeah, you gotta have a goal and vision. And my vision for these U10s was to create the best U10 athletes on the planet, to leverage everything that Steamboat had to offer, to leverage my expertise, the parent expertise, mentor expertise, coaching expertise, to take advantage of every facility that the town of Steamboat Springs had to offer.
So within the context of developing a U10 athlete, I prioritized instinct, athleticism, touch, balance, and fun. That's what I had in mind in all of the training environments that we set up. I often set courses on ungroomed terrain, would take the poles away, would have the kids hang onto their head, or we would play chase, mixing up the environment all the time. And for the U10 age group, an obstacle course is like the perfect scenario to cultivate everything. Competitiveness when they'd play chase, reaction time, athleticism. Yeah, it's a lot of work to set up, but bang for the buck, what a great exercise. A final comment I'll make about vision. It was important that every family and all athletes were welcome, whether they were interested in just participation or for competition and had very high aspiring elite goals. It's harder to accommodate both, but that was very important. As for facilities, no place on earth like Steamboat Springs, and we leveraged every bit of it. Of course, there were the water ramps and trampoline facility. At Hallison Hill, we had moguls, we had the Nordic jumps, we had the airbag, which was a ton of work, but we set it up every single week, and we made sure that each and every U10 had the opportunity to fly off those jumps. Of course, Steamboat had a Nordic center, so we were able to get our hands on Nordic equipment, which made really fun training, ankle mobility and balance. We'd set up obstacle courses, we would do flat work, a lot of skating. Park is huge for the kids, so we hired a park coach so we could learn switch and 360s and park etiquette and all that sort of fun stuff. The club had a fitness facility which we accessed in the fall, but this was in the winter. This was my mad scientist stage when I got into all sorts of mobility and comfort in our ski boots, making the kids move and explore a range of motion. When I was Alpine director, I launched a project to build a new venue for our athletes so that we could control snow quality and conditions, so that we could control the training environment and schedule. So what we have here is the Stevens family venue. And this 2007 U10 group, the timing couldn't have been better. From their second year as a U10, they had full access to this venue. And believe me, we leveraged every moment and every opportunity on that world-class terrain. As you know by now, I loved obstacle courses for U10s, and for this venue, I had so much room to play and explore and be creative. Into more pole jumpers, left-footed turn, one more pole jumper. And last but not least, if you want to cultivate the best U10 skiers in the world, if you want to generate athleticism and instinct and reaction time and touch and balance and all of that, you need a good mountain. And at Steamboat, that's exactly what we had. As for our on-hill plan, I think the most significant thing I can say is let the mountain teach. At this U10 level, we place huge significance in Skills Quest, building skills. Every session at Hallison Hill, I'd have 4 different stations set up, and one of those stations would always be a Skills Quest station. We kept track of scores for each athlete, and they could see their scores up in the start house of the all-out venue. All that emphasis and focus for Skills Quest paid off as our Steamboat boys essentially swept the top 10 places at U10 Champs. Another focus point of our setup and training was the use of die and brushies, either for turn shape or for line. Whenever possible, we would help those kids understand where the transition is, to force the transition, or to help with line.
Abby.
So this is Abby Olson at the U10 Champs, not cross-blocking. Keep in mind, Abby won the slalom at the OPA Cup, which is the premier international event for U16 athletes. Well, and this was an amazing day for these two athletes because Abby Olson's teammate, Logan Grosdidier, took second in this event. And then they went to U16 Nationals, where they flip-flopped. Logan got first in the slalom, Abby third, and another one of those 2007 birth years, Kat Cosby, took sixth. But at this level, at this age, we did not focus on cross-blocking. We emphasized making a good turn. And good turns meant either in the course or in moguls or free skiing. The kids did compete in moguls. It wasn't exclusive to one discipline. And we played chase or had duels all the time just to get the fire going in the kids' belly. Another unique feature of our training plan was mixed gender training and mixed gender racing. In Steamboat, we had Steamboat Cups, and we would have kids within the same birth year race against one another, mixed gender race against one another. And also in our training groups, we would train mixed gender. This photo is of a Facebook post I did of the video I put together for the Rocky Mountain proposal to have the age group of U10 athletes race mixed gender. So you can take a look at the link here above on YouTube for all of the justifications for this proposal, but bottom line, it paid off for age groups U10 and U12 to have mixed gender competition. The boys and the girls benefit. And this is an awesome photo of Adrian Beauregard, who won this race, and Kat Cosby second, and Abby Olson third. All right, so that was Kat then. This is Kat now, taking third place at the U16 Nationals with her teammates Abby second and Logan first. And earlier in the season, Kat took a silver in another prestigious U16 international event. As I mentioned, we played a lot of chase and relays. This is Abby Olson again, being chased by Liam Siefkin, who recently got a 7th place in the Moguls U17 National Championships. Another factor that we took into account, which was huge for us, was looking at the equipment of the kids because it relates so much to how the kids learn. We worked with all of the ski shops in town of Steamboat, making sure that they had quality skis for development. And we also worked with all of the families looking at the kids' boots. We checked the kids' ankle flexion and mobility, and we took notes on that, so we had an idea of how the kids' ankles were working within their boots. So there's 3 words that we're really focusing on this year. We're focusing on fun, learning, and engagement. That in-run, kiddo, was solid. I can tell that you have a lot of practice in the Nordic jumps.
Yeah, I jump on one.
Do you like the Nordic jumps?
Yeah.
Do you? Okay, well then this is going to be like really natural.
I'm scared. That's slippery. Hello. Slippery. That was hard.
Word of the week was one tool we would use to promote being intentional, promote our culture. This was sponsored by a parent, Abby Olson's dad, Brian Olson. Another tool we used at the U10 level was our pole plant assessment guide. We were going to learn and we were going to track skill development. So we used this tool and it was very effective. I was out on a walk one afternoon and saw my neighbor here, Arthur, practicing. Arthur was in my U10 program for 2 years, and Arthur caught the bug. Arthur was one of those kids that we were trying to meet in terms of multidiscipline. Arthur was a really good alpiner, but he caught the Nordic bug to the extent that he was at home working on his jumps, and to this day, he is national champ in ski jumping for his age. Alpine skiers by day, Nordic skiers by night. Hey, Steamboat coaches. So this is the time of year, mid-season, where it's time to reflect and it's time to dig deep, and it's time to take a look at all of our kids, especially those kids in our group that we're struggling with a little bit. We might not relate with those kids on a personal level. we may not be speaking the kids' language, so they're not finding the successes that some of the other kids in our group are finding. Coaching is humbling, and coaching is challenging, especially if we measure ourselves by those kids in our group that we've not yet connected with. And that's where we really have to dig deep, and we have to realize that that's on us. We're the professionals in this relationship. Few things. Some one ski can happen over on the carpet. We have a obstacle course set up over here that for them is more of a GS turn radius. It's going to force them to move, jump over, duck under, quick. You guys will see it. There's some side slipping corridor. Can I have everybody's attention? I'd like to introduce you to a couple special guests that we have for training tonight. So we've got the Seymour boys here. This is Jet and this is Chase, okay? And these guys have come up through our Winter Sports Club program since they were your age and younger. Chase, Seymour, thank you for skiing with our kids tonight. What'd you think of them?
Well, they were really awesome skiers to start. They all had great edge angle. They could all carve. They could all pole plant. They could basically ski anything that we wanted them to do and did anything we wanted them to do.
That is awesome. Heart, will, and accountability. When it comes right down to it, I think that's what it's all about. You don't have to be at the club with the fanciest bells and whistles. While we had that at Steamboat, you can have everything and not fully utilize it. What's important is for the coach, for the directors, to have the will to do what's necessary to be the best. That certainly was my goal at the U10 level, to create the best U10 skiers in the world based on long-term athlete development, with the intention of building the next generation of successful USA skiers. But keep in mind, success with the older athletes in part has to do with their cultivation and training quality when they were younger, their long-term athlete training plan, and that's where accountability comes into play. It was important for me to think about it this way. A club's around for a long time and they're going to define their success in particular ways. That's different for an athlete. An athlete might be around for 2 years or 10 years, and success is defined by that individual. So that helped me have a sense of urgency in my programming every single day. Okay, parents. I think parents in sports get a bad rap. Some of that is deserved. But let's look at it, because if parents are handled right, they really can be your superpower of your program. They are such a resource. They're a motivational resource, a labor and financial resource. They're an expertise resource, an insight resource of your athlete. This is such an important relationship to cultivate and develop. And in our country, I think this relationship really needs to be studied, the parent-athlete club relationship. Because in ski racing, the athletes generally in our country that make it the furthest have parents who are knowledgeable in our sport. This is why parent education is so very important, and I took that very seriously. I often held clinics for the parents, would have forums for the parents, and special meetings for the parents. Parents had to be informed. And speaking of parents and parent coaches, I've got to give a shout out to Cedar Beauregard. He was my right-hand man, such a help. The success of this U10 experiment goes in large part to him as well. For the U10 program, when I was leading it, parents were absolutely critical to the success of our program, helping with summer camps, helping with specialty camps, helping with coaching, helping with everything. That was a resource and part of a winning combination that I wasn't about to squander. Bring on the parents. For this video, I primarily focused on 4 athletes of that 2007 birth year who have made it to the top of their sport internationally for their age group, which is one important factor when determining success. And every country around the world is looking at developing young athletes. With every country, there's discussion and debate about how to cultivate athletes, and this is just one roadmap, one example that so far has proven to be successful. Of course, for these athletes, their story didn't end when they left U10. They continued through all of the other age groups at the Steamboat Springs Winter Sports Club to find the success that they have now found at the U16 age group. Keep in mind, competitive skiing, whether it's moguls or alpine or jumping, whatever it is, it's a marathon, and you need to have quality programming when an athlete is young if you want to have results when the athlete is 18, 22, 28. Quality coaching, quality vision, quality propulsion. The way I see it, a child is not fast or slow, skilled or unskilled, but a child has been encouraged, well coached, given an opportunity, held accountable, challenged. The skill level is never, ever fixed. It's always fluid. It's always changing. And the way we make successful skiers into the future is not defining a kid by yesterday and keeping them in a box. We never know when the kid is going to show up and have their breakthrough, and we're going to be ready for it. Meeting that kid right where they're at, sky's the limit.